All right, hey everybody. So in the last video, we really just tried to get this environment set up a little bit better for recording, and also created the split method from Swift. And then something I noticed today when I came in was basically like, there's some methods that I might have skipped that we'll need to go back through on a second pass. But that's kind of where we're at. So when I did the test of the video, I really wasn't satisfied with how it came out. The font size is still not very large in the main window, and we're still taking up the same amount of screen real estate effectively, if not more, on one side of Sublime Text. Now, part of the reason that this is the case is that to make the font size larger, you hold down Command plus, and the font size gets larger. But if you notice, it gets larger in every one of these panes or every one of these groups. So we have to sort of find a sweet spot between those two, right? Because what I'm thinking after looking at the video is what would be better would be, is it 3-pane top? No. We don't have a 3-pane bottom. Let's see, code pen, nope. The other code pen, no. And it's always wanting to put the code down there at the bottom, which isn't a serious deal breaker, but definitely is not what I'm going for. Because what I'd like is for both of the panes to be down here, and so if this pane was here and the test pane was there, and then we could have that entire top. And programmer view is just one big window, which is kind of what we're going for, right? Because then, if you notice, I actually have guides for 80, 120, and I think this is 160. And so I can actually make the font size very large in this pane, so that we can see everything that's going on. So let's do this just to keep this video rolling. So what we're going to do is we're going to say 3-pane top, and I'll look to see if there's a 3-pane bottom somewhere eventually. But we can put the string file down there. We can put the tests over on the left, and we can put the terminal onto the right. Okay? And so now we have the ability to make this text really large. Unfortunately, it does the same thing to the test. And, I don't think you guys are really concerned about what the test actually is, and I'm pretty good about speaking what the test is. But we'll get to that here in a second. And so the other issue, right, was that I can't scroll up on this terminal. And what I found out was that there's actually another terminal for Sublime, or another terminal package. And so basically, if I come in here and I say install package, and terminus is what I'm looking for, and down here you'll notice it says installed and goes back to what it was doing before. So now Command Shift P, terminus. So terminus has a lot of different things going for it. So let me isolate just terminus. So you can close terminus, reset, close all, list shells, toggle panel, so on and so forth. And so you can do open default shell in panel, or you can do open default shell in view. If you do the, I believe it's in the view, it will just basically be the entire window. So you'll have a terminal down here at the bottom that just takes up the entire horizontal width, which is not what we're going for. So default shell in panel, though, is basically, oh, I was wrong. All right, so let me see if I can close this, close all, and do terminus default shell in view. All right, so that gives us a default or a shell that's in the view. And so if we go into running the tests, and it actually has a better color scheme, and I might actually make a color theme later, but the point is I can actually scroll up. So all that so that we could scroll up. So terminal view, going to go ahead and shut that down because we don't need that. I don't know if I can do, yeah. Sorry, I haven't used it before. So yeah, that's one of the things about these videos, is that I'm really trying to show the raw sort of me doing this as I'm doing it. So that's one though, right? So we've solved that one problem. Now we still have this font problem, this font issue. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do a search for Sublime Text, because the running joke is yeah, developers are always spending their time Googling things. So Sublime Text 3, font size per panel. And you can see that I've already read this, and basically what this forum post is somebody asking for the same, or talking about the same problem that I'm having. And this response is actually perfect, because what they basically did is they said, okay, well, you know, just create a plugin, and it doesn't have to be on the package manager. It can just be in your personal stuff. So if I come up here and I say Tools, Developer, New Plugin, it has this sort of beginning empty plugin done in Python. And I'm just going to hit all. I have a thing about white space. Oh, wait, Python is a white space sensitive language, so I don't know if I can do that. And they named theirs viewfont.py. So I'm basically going to do the same thing, viewfont.py, and you see that it says user directory here, but which one, right? And so basically by hitting that caret, we can see where it is. So it's this user directory inside of packages, which is a subdirectory inside of Sublime Text, which is inside application support, which is also inside of the library directory, right? So it's basically this instance of Sublime Text that is going to have this package. So let's go ahead and hit save. And then one of the other things that they mention in the post is to basically add these key bindings. And we can do that by preferences, key bindings. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Right. So I can't remember if I have to restart Sublime Text or not. So this is normal, right? Command minus, Command plus. But if I hold down Control Shift minus and Control Shift plus, you see I can do it for this one view, right? And then from there, it's pretty much locked. I can't change it from back to being the global, at least not in a way that I know of. So let's go ahead and close out this window. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set the global preference. Right? So I want to say that's good for me. to be able to write the tests, right? And I can always go up and change that if we want to. So there's that. We can still scroll up on our terminal, and so I'm going to come down here and basically Shift Control plus and one. No, let's keep the 120 on there. Do this as a test. So there's that. Oh, so 120 is just visible over here on the quick scan. So this should look a lot better on screen. We'll find out later. But as I say, we have hit the view, our created split. We did not add max splits yet, and that's what we're going to do today. So hopefully we're good there, and we'll find out. So max splits. Oh, actually, so there's something in here in the way this reads that makes me question whether or not we're actually doing it correctly according to Swift. Okay, so basically we have the split, and right, this takes character or string, and the max splits is going to be an integer, and omit empty subsequences is a Boolean, and then the arrow in Swift is equivalent to this colon space in PHP, and the space isn't necessary, I don't think, but that colon. And then bracket substring bracket means that it's an array of a class of substrings, right? Because Swift is very object-oriented and very type safe, and so everything's a type or everything's a class, and so that's what we're doing here. So anyway, returns the longest possible subsequences of the collection in order around elements equal to the given element. So it got me thinking, is it actually deleting characters or not? You know, are the splits really just there to act as something else? So one of the ways that we can test this real easily, and in fact my test is probably already there, is to open up a playground in Xcode, and the playground is basically Apple's REPL, right? So instead of opening up a bash terminal and like playing around inside of that, it has this nice setup, and it's got all sorts of features and things like that. And so by default, it gives you a hello playground string to play with, and so I just said string split L just to see what we would get. And so string split L, we get HE, O comma P, and then A ground, right? So the L is being deleted. The L is being removed, and so that's good. But I want to make a test that's like this, right, for what we're doing. So let's go ahead and hop back into here. And I'm going to create a function, hit enter. So test does return string blocks split. Right, because we want to make sure, because all of our tests basically it's just one character, and so we want to make sure that it's actually doing complete strings as it goes forward. So expected is going to, let's see, so let's start with initial, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say hello world, how are you, right? And then so the expected output for us, because we're going to split on the comma, is going to be hello space world, and then space how are you, right? And so then what we should be able to do is we should say result str split, we're splitting on the comma, and then oops, string from string initial split on the comma, and we're gonna say string, right? And so this assert equals expected result on the test, and we have one error. Oh, we have a typo. Oops. Oh, I don't need to actually get the string. Okay, so that seems like it worked out just fine. So now we're going to throw in this max splits concept. So how do we do that? How do we want to do that? What's going on with our API? So let's imagine for a second that this class was out there, it was out in the world, and we're about to make this change, right? This is not refactoring at this point, right? So refactoring is, the literal definition is changing the internal structure of an existing system in such a way that it does not alter the external behavior, right? So, when we were doing extracting methods and moving stuff around, like when we created that bisected array method by pulling it out of another function or another method, right? That did not change the external API of somebody that was already using it, so nothing would have been broken. This fundamentally alters everything. So if I just go ahead and do int max splits, I can't type, splits, all right, if we do that and run our test, we should get some errors, right? 3 errors and 1 failure, right? And why do we get those errors? If we come up here, so this is one of them, too few arguments, right? We're not passing enough arguments into the split command. So, what do we do then? And so let's go ahead and make it 0. That way it's no longer a required argument. But we should still get a failure somewhere. What failed? Can split on character 3. So can split on character 3. Yeah, see the false here? It's in the wrong place because it's the second argument, not the third argument. And so that's sort of some of the stuff that we need to watch out for. And so if I come up here and I say 0, just put in the default for this optional second argument, we're all green again, right? But that's also somebody, right? We should, if we had this class out there already, we should explain to people like, hey, we've updated the signature for this particular method. It now takes these arguments, blah, 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 blah. You should change in this way, right? And that's one of the other nice things that tests give us, is it gives us a way to see breaking changes, right? Things that we do that break stuff, right? So same thing with that to array being renamed to array, or like just array. In fact, let me see here. Oops. Not there. Seriously? Yeah, remember this used to be called toArray but then we changed it to just saying array, and that would have been a breaking change. And one of the ways that we knew it was a breaking change is because our test broke and we had to update our tests, right? And so that's one of the other nice things that you get from doing sort of test-driven development and having these automated tests in general. But I do want to figure out what the keyboard shortcut is for, sorry, just bear with me. Sublime Text 3, search for function in current file. This file, folder project, add folder to project, F12 will jump to any symbol in the project. Oh, that's what it was. So at, and then array. Okay. So yeah, if you do Command P and then at, it'll take you within the file you're in. Otherwise, you can do Command R, and basically it does Command P and then adds the at inside there. All right, so we have max splits here. If max splits is 0, it's actually going to give us all of them, right? So we should probably document that. If 0 returns all splits, right? So we definitely want to make sure that that doesn't break, and we do have the tests that will verify whether or not that happens. So now back to hello, comma, world, comma. What we want to do is, let's say we only wanted the first, that first split, right? How would we go about doing that? So explode gives us an array, right? So explode is going to give us this whole array. And if, let's try, this might be the easiest. First pass equals 4. Really, I need to make my own template for that, because I just don't like the spaces, not having the spaces there. So anyway, so max splits. So we'll call that the max splits array. Then for each one of these, what we want to do is basically add, append the array with a new value, and that value is going to be array I, and then basically just unset array I, because that'll remove it from the array. And then we should be able to do merged equals array merge, and we're going to do max splits first and then array second, right? Because we're basically we're doing kind of like a Pac-Man thing on the original array, because it says in order, right? So basically we're creating this max splits array by appending and appending and appending and appending, And as we're appending to it, we're removing first from the original array. And so, oh, but that's, do we really want to do that? Let's go back to our playground for a second. All right, and we're going to change, so, and this is one of the reasons people like REPLs, is that you can just do it quick and dirty. How are you? Separator, comma, max splits 1. Oh. That is one of the things that I do like about calling things in Swift, is a lot of times it's labeled this way. So, because people with Objective-C, the biggest complaint was that it was really verbose, right? Because you'd have things like UI table view, view for solid index path, right? And like this just really long thing. And so by making it part of the actual call signature, we still have the readability of the code, but we don't have this sort of really verbose thing. So let's go ahead and run that. All right, so basically you get this second one as a string with the separator still in there. And so max splits, all right, so this gives us, that gives us the array. And this is going to fail anyway because of this. Let's do length. If splits, and then if max splits equals 0 and count, oops, and count array is greater than 0, or is greater than 1, let's make max splits equal to count array. Because that way we're getting all of them, right? And then, yeah, we'll have to write some more tests for this, but max splits count, don't need you declared there, I need you declared down here. So now, less than max splits, then we're appending to splits. We're still chomping down on that back array. And then this only takes arrays, so we're going to put the brackets around it, implode. Yeah, I can type. Imploded equals implode, and then we're going to use our separator on the whatever's left of the array. Yeah, whatever's left of the array to give us the imploded string, and we're going to make an array of one item with that so that we get the array merge. So now everything's an array. All right, let's run the test, see what we get. 4 errors. Okay. Max splits. Oh. 4 failures. Now this is incorrect because separator of comma with max split of 1, we should get an array of hello and then world, how are you? So hello, comma, world, how are you? So we're getting that. Let's go ahead and var dump array real quick. And let's isolate for just this one. So filter so the explode part is working. Let's var dump the imploded. Or merged. Oh, is that what it is? Yeah, it's because I'm still using array. I mean, I don't know if this is actually going to fix all of it, but that's part of it. Yeah, because I was still using array instead of merged, and I want to do that here as well. So now let's ask the question, if I do 2, I should get right. So let's go ahead and make that happen just to be on the safe side. So we're going to say 2 and go ahead and do that, and we say we want to have 2, and oh, let's make sure we're running all of them now. 1 failure, and this is why we do it this way. So test can split on character 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and isolate that as well. So 1, let's do var dump merged. See what merged gets us. Two empty strings. Let's var dump array after doing should be an empty array. Let's do var dump empty array. True. So it is empty. But if it's an empty array and we're imploding it and then doing this, that's probably not in our best interest. So, so let's do this. If empty, so if array is empty, then merged equals splits. Merged equals empty array. All right. Else because this is the one that's we should get hit more often because we're not. I can't imagine people doing this regularly. So for the most part, people are just going to want it all back at the same time, I think. So if it's empty, just make merged splits. If it's not empty, then we're going to implode it with the separator we were given, and we're going to tack it onto the merged array and make that the thing. So, all right. And yeah, we're good. Okay, so and let me make sure that I get all the var dumps out of here. And so, yeah. Wondering if there's a way that we could do this cleaner, but for right now, I think this is good. I think we're doing pretty good. We've got a decent setup, I think, and we'll find out for the next one if that is the case. So hopefully we can figure out a good size for this code window. And then, like I said, eventually we're going to have to go back up, but I'm just going to keep on cruising. So next is going to be stuff like subscript accesses the character at the given position. First element of the collection, last element of the collection. You know, a lot of this stuff is just going to be repeating, so I'm thinking that the next video should be pretty easy. But yeah, let me know what you think of the setup, and I'm just going to keep, otherwise I'm just going to keep going based on my user experience knowledge. So as always, thank you for the time. I definitely appreciate it, and I will see you next time.